Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wicked Sports Podcast for January 29th, 2025. A lot to get into on the show today. We have Ryan and Jack joining me for a couple of NBA topics. Then I want to talk about Miami Dolphins, their new special teams coordinator, Jonnu Smith, getting added to the Pro Bowl, and then have a kind of a discussion about how we feel about Pro Bowls these days. Do they matter so much? And that's going to be because Josh Allen dropped out of the Pro Bowl and Drake May was elected to the Pro Bowl with, I'm going to say it, pedestrian stats. So let's get into it. First, starting off with the Miami Minute. Hey everybody, welcome to the Miami Minute, where we cover my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. And we have a lot of stuff to get into today. Chief among them, for the last few years, Dolphins fans have been complaining about Danny Crossman, our special teams coordinator, and him being bad at his job. In fact, according to Pro Football Focus, they were ranked 32nd out of 32 teams in the NFL. They were 29th the season before. And a lot of people were saying, hey, I believe that the Dolphins would be a much better team if our special teams didn't stink so badly. So this offseason, they finally did make the call to fire Danny Crossman. And they are hiring Craig Auckerman, who was formerly a Tennessee Titans special teams coordinator up until 2023. The problem is, I didn't see a lot of excitement surrounding this addition. Craig Auckerman did not get a ton of accolades. In fact, the thing that I saw most reported on was on his Wikipedia page. There was a whole section about the game that got him fired from the Tennessee Titans. And let's just read that section together real quick. You know, it's never a good thing to have a whole section dedicated to one game, but this is from the Wikipedia right here. On December 4th, 2023, Auckerman was fired after a disastrous 31-28 Week 13 overtime loss to the Indianapolis Colts. The game featured two consecutive Titans punts being blocked, the first of which was returned for a touchdown, while the second resulted in the season-ending injury of punter Ryan Stonehouse in a critical missed extra point attempt. So what they're referencing there is Stonehouse is the holder for the Titans, or certainly was at the time, and because he was injured, Ryan Tannehill, the starting quarterback, or might have been backup quarterback at the time, a quarterback for the Titans, he had to go out there and hold the extra point attempt. Unfortunately, that's not what he does every day. It's not what he spends time doing in practice. It was botched. They missed the extra point. They end up going to overtime. They end up losing that game, and Auckerman ended up losing his job. So not a lot of excitement there. I want to break it down more on my blog for tomorrow on Dolphins Talk, so please go check that out. If you're watching this on Thursday, then today's blog will be linked down in the description. So please check that out, because that was the dominant thing that I saw referenced in regards to the hiring from Titans fans and obviously from Dolphins fans, who immediately Googled Craig Auckerman, went to his Wikipedia page, saw that, a solid fifth of the page is just dedicated to this one disastrous game. And we're like, what is this better? Is it better than Danny Crossman? Only time will tell. But what are your thoughts on the hiring of Craig Auckerman there? I know a lot of people wanted Reezy. He was a Dolphins coach. He auditioned. He interviewed for the head coaching job, but Brian Flores beat him out. He was the Saints interim head coach. I don't think there was ever a chance that he was going to come back after being denied a chance to being the head coach for the Dolphins. So not really realistic there. All right. So from potentially, middle of the road to bad news, let's talk about some good news if you're a Dolphins fan, because there's so little to look positively on at this point in the Dolphins season. I guess in the NFL season, Dolphins season is over, but Jonnu Smith will be replacing Travis Kelce in the Pro Bowl for 2024. Now, Smith had a franchise record 88 receptions for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns. All of those are franchise records for tight ends. Travis Kelce, on the other hand, had more receptions, less yards than Johnny Smith. I think, and he had 5 less touchdowns. I think the big thing here was just like he got the Taylor Swift bump. He was, obviously very popular with the fan vote because of Taylor Swift. So I do think, Brock Bowers, obviously 1,194 yards, just absolutely dominant for the Raiders. But then after that, Trey McBride and George Kittle were the only other tight ends over 1,000 yards. Obviously, they're both in the NFC. So Johnny Smith had the 4th most yards. Again, 88 receptions, 84 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I think he was one of the brightest spots for the Dolphins this year, and I'm very excited to see him rewarded with a Pro Bowl, whatever that means these days. Like, what exactly does a Pro Bowl mean? I don't know that much. It's not even a football game anymore. It's a flag football game. But, we'll take good news where we can get it. And congratulations, Johnny Smith. Well deserved. I think he was snubbed personally at first. So this is, making up for that. And Travis Kelce, he'll be real torn up about it as he's winning another Super Bowl and proposing to Taylor Swift maybe after the game. I'm sure the Pro Bowl will be far, far away from his mind then. If you're a Dolphins fan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on these 2 news items in the comments. So let's shift from football talk over to basketball talk for a little bit, and then we'll come back to football talk. Hey everybody, welcome back to Weird Sports. I'm joined, as always, by Ryan Flynn. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brian.
And Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. This is At the Buzzer. We're here to talk about all the stuff that we didn't get a chance to talk about in regards to Jimmy Butler last week, because somehow in a week it got even crazier. So I don't know, Jack, do you want to start us off there? What's happening with Jimmy Butler?
So I think to wrap it all up, put it in a nice little bow, a little present box for y'all. I think Jimmy basically came back from his suspension, or actually he was suspended again after we had that conversation, came back from that suspension, was at shoot around, and I think basically was told by Spo or whoever, I don't know if it was him or Pat Riley, that they were going to bench him because he basically is too unpredictable. So I think from that aspect, he got so angry and basically said I'm out, see you later. And they just suspended him. It was shoot around. They were yeah, that's it, Jimmy. That's enough of that. Go sit on your ass somewhere else. And we're going to basically try to trade you now.
Ryan, I've heard it, or I guess I've read it floated that this may have been intentional because they knew Jimmy Butler would react this way and they wanted to make sure that he didn't get hurt before they could trade him. How do you feel about that potential thought process?
I think a lot of it I don't know how much it matters. It's kind of like the chicken, you know what I mean? It's like Jimmy gets hurt all the time. He also is pretty stubborn. Pat Riley's pretty stubborn. I think it was just going to kind of play out this way no matter what, where Jimmy wasn't going to play. He wasn't going to play for them again. He's going to get suspended, right? I just think we're in a stalemate. Hopefully he gets traded, but I mean, we'll see. It's not the best look in the world. And the options, I kind of think all of the options, it's kind of would Jimmy be enough to get them over the hump? And it's possible, but it's questionable. And the trades aren't looking that good.
Yeah, we kind of broke it down last week and we didn't see very much. And it seems like that's been what everybody's been saying now. It's not a great situation there. Jack, do we owe the Minnesota Timberwolves organization an apology for, I think we all kind of looked a little down on them when everything happened with Jimmy Butler there. But this is 2 teams in a row. That's not great.
I think it is 2 teams in a row. I also think, well, actually, if you don't count Philly, I don't really know what happened in Philly. That was just weird. And I know Jimmy's tweeted cryptically about that too. So maybe
I can speak to it a little. If basically the main thing is No, I don't think it's this simple, but I know part of it was they decided to go with Tobias Harris instead of him. They thought that Tobias Harris was the better fit, which, well,
Personality-wise,
it looked pretty dumb. Especially, I mean, Jimmy did have that. I mean, he got the Heat to the finals.
He
I
did.
mean, considering he got that team, it's tough. Yeah, he's just one of those personalities you've got to learn to mitigate. And look, in hindsight, like him and Pat Riley, right? It's kind of like those like a toxic couple almost, where it's like a toxic power couple. Probably like, what was it, like Cardi B and like Quavo or one of the. It kind of reminds me of something like that. It's like, yeah, when those two are like probably going, they're probably great and like going really strong, very confident, fun. But when they disagree on something, oh man, is it probably ugly?
Yeah, and this got ugly. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's where we're at, right? I think that's like maybe the T-Wolves were onto something. Maybe it's just too many big personalities in one room. I think, honestly, it's just like Ryan said, like once it gets bad, like it gets bad, you know, and then like it does become irreparable. And now they have to figure out where they're going to send Jimmy Butler. I honestly think, I thought more about it since last week. If there is a place that he goes, I think that Phoenix might be the best place for him, which is like not even from a basketball standpoint necessarily. Because Ryan, I know you're like, I don't know about that, but like, I think if we like from a personality perspective, I think what Jimmy needs is probably somebody who is just objectively a better legacy player than he is. And you have Kevin Durant there to potentially be like, hey, this is what I am. This is my team. You're Jimmy Butler. You're great. You're here to help. But like, I'm not asking for much. I think that's the only way.
Yeah, so that's more my concern is a personality in the sense that KD, I think we've kind of seen the personality I'd almost describe. He's like one of those guys that like, I feel like maybe sometimes he might not, you know, if he's annoyed with you, he might not say it back. He's probably going to like text it out on his phone and just kind of be annoyed. Like, you know, so I just feel like I just feel like Jimmy's probably, I don't know that Jimmy is going to be carried by the fact that like someone is more of a legacy than him, you know, and he's got the unfortunate thing of being like this really big work ethic guy, but then he does a ton of load management, you know, whether or not how legit you think it all is. I think it probably is pretty legit overall. But I think it is tough to deal with when you're playing 50 games and then, you know, you're pushing everyone. So I could just see, I could see him and KD. It could kind of hit I think it just pushes KD further into kind of like being just annoyed.
Fair. That's very fair. I think I know the one team Jimmy does not want to be traded to is the Memphis Grizzlies. So I will bet so much money that Pat Riley trades him to the Memphis Grizzlies. I feel that in my bones.
That's an interesting one. Why doesn't he want to go to Memphis? And would Memphis? I don't think Memphis would they really want him?
I don't think it adds anything for them really, right? Like I don't think they would want him, but I feel like they might take him if the offer was like a second round pick at this point, you know, like
I'm assuming the Heat want Desmond Bane.
Of course, I would say that's probably a 1-for-1. Maybe they also would have to attach a second to Jimmy as well, right?
Yeah, assume Jaren Jackson Jr.'s got to be off the table just because of like
no way
the defensive stuff he's definitely put on a bit of a pedestal, and I mean I think either way I wouldn't trade Desmond Bane for Jimmy Butler.
No, me either. I would be interested to see a Marcus Smart for Jimmy Butler 1-for-1. I think that might be interesting, but I would
what would you get? Yeah, that would not help them.
It wouldn't do anything for them. Like that's I don't think it would make sense, but I think we're going to see a trade that isn't going to make sense regardless. Truly.
It would be scrappy and fun, the Miami Heat kind of smart, but another guy who's injured a lot is
2017 Celtics backcourt reunited in Miami, I guess, and that's going to be it. But
him and Rozier. Yeah, but you also got Hero in there. But
that's true.
What a time.
Smart would be a good pairing with them in some ways.
In theory.
Well, in theory, with him and Rozier, it's it's a lot of I got this, man.
That's true. That's so true.
And just two guys like, oh, this shot looks so sick. Like,
Yeah, I would be sad to see Marcus Smart in a Heat uniform. It's not really what I want to see, but yeah, be interesting. That's for sure.
All speculation for sure.
Yeah. Anything else on this topic before we move on to the All Stars?
no, not really.
All right, so let's talk about the All Stars. The All Star rosters were announced, and just a tidbit: what I searched All Star NBA, just to like have a
Mhm.
thing of everything. The top comment was Hoops Hype saying Austin Rivers holds the record for most years in NBA without a single All Star vote. Did you have to write that article? That feels unnecessary.
That hurts.
That's rough.
But let's talk about the players who actually got All Star votes and are playing on February 16th. All right, do you want to start us off with your thoughts on? I guess let's start with the East. We're the Celtics show in theory, but we talk about everything. So let's go with the East, and then Jack, I'll get your opinion on the West, and then vice versa.
Yeah, the East wasn't actually as interesting to me in All Stars, just in the sense that I think the West, there was just a couple guys I felt like got snubbed a little bit. Well, we got Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. I think that probably makes sense. I'd have to dig a little deeper. I can't think of anyone who probably deserves the spot over either of those guys, especially with how well the Cavs are doing. And, Brunson's just been phenomenal the past couple of years. You can't really debate that. And then obviously I think Tatum, like you've got to have Tatum in there. And then I think the other forward is Giannis. Obviously that's not arguable. And then Cat, I think we've talked about it. I've never been the biggest Cat fan. When he first came to the league, I really liked him because, a guy that good of a center who's that good at shooting, even if it's at a somewhat, I haven't looked this year. It's always been at like kind of a Dirk volume, but there's way more threes in the NBA today. But he's been really good this year. He's probably arguably a top 15 or 20 player right now.
I'd say.
Yeah, some people might even put him in the top 10 right now. I think that is a little like presumptuous, but he's reminded us what a good player he is. He definitely deserves that center spot. I can't think of anyone else. So I think all of those I don't really think there's a strong case for anyone to start over any of those guys. I think didn't LaMelo Ball win the fan, or he was winning the fan one? I wonder what happened with that.
Me too. He honestly, like, if that's the only thing that I would have a qualm with potentially is where does LaMelo live? He's going to be there most likely. I think you probably see him, and if I had to guess, maybe Ja as backup guards, maybe Darius Garland.
No, Ja's West.
Oh, I did say. I'm sorry, my mindset's on the West already. Yeah,
Tennessee is.
I'm ready to go
on the east part of the country, yet they're in the West.
Yeah, don't get me started on that alignment there. Yeah, but I think. Yeah, when it comes to, I guess you're right, Ryan. I don't see anyone typically outside of that. Cat averaging 25 and 14 is kind of crazy, though.
Yeah, very good. And what? How many assists? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah, 4.5, I think, something like that. 4 point. I don't see it. I don't have it up in front of me, but it was good. I'll say that.
Those are potentially first team NBA numbers
for sure. It wouldn't surprise me.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the West. Jack, do you want to start us off there?
For sure. I think this is a little bit of a legacy West. And I said it before we started recording, a little bit of a legacy like all-star game more than anything else. I don't know. I guess I can look back at Ja, and now that we're in the West, say like, okay, maybe he deserves a spot. Just looking at some numbers, we've got unsurprisingly backcourt of Steph Curry and Shea. I think that's maybe where you can. I think we look at Steph's legacy numbers and you say, okay, like Steph is elite. Again, Ryan said it before we started recording, that Golden State Warriors team would be so bad without him. So like he's still putting up good numbers. I think Ja might be putting up better numbers. I don't know if that's debatable, I think, right? I think Ja's averaging more rebounds. I think he's averaging less points and assists. So pick your poison, basically. Shea is just an MVP candidate. So it would be very surprising not to see him on that roster. So that's your starting backcourt. I think then you look at the front court being the Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. That's where we get further into the legacy argument of, okay, sure, Jokic, unsurprising, I think, for anybody, right? He's averaging a triple-double with 30 points per game. Stupid, but it's going to be stupid until he retires, it feels like, at this point.
Did you guys see that shot he made the other day? It was
my God.
Full court, just threw it. Crazy.
What's even worse?
He's incredible. He's like just one of a kind. He makes it look effortless, like his, come out of his personality, and he just he's just such a rare commodity. I mean, and it's absurd because it's like every year, it's just like even this year, I have to look, but I think he probably deserves the MVP right now.
He should. Joel can't whine about it this year, so I think what's nice about that is it should be Jokic, unless they want to gatekeep that award again and give it to the people crying about Shea. So
also just look at the big thing is I mean, he won a championship with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray as the best players.
Right.
Even Aaron Gordon, people are kind of he's a guy who can put up numbers on a shitty team, kind of, and isn't really that usable. He's turning these guys all into very viable players. And that's not to say they people were thinking a year or two ago, Jamal Murray was a top 15 player in the NBA, which I think he's
right.
I think he's maybe a top 30. I don't think I never see it going beyond that personally.
The roller coaster for Jamal is it has been like this for a while, and it's been here for a while. So
he's literally just a volume scoring guard, but he's
bad efficiency and shot
selection. He's a little more inconsistent than other guys, and he's a lot more for I guess he's a combo guard, right? That's why he fits well at Jokic. He is kind of dependent on, you have to get him going, right? He needs to be in the right mode. So Jokic is perfect for that. And then you look too with Jokic this year, the fact that Westbrook, right? Everyone thought he was kind of out of the league. Now he's maybe he's kind of a scrappy bench player. This is probably his last run though in Denver. And last I checked, they lost last night, but prior to that, I think they were something like 18-5, and since they had put Westbrook in their starting lineup, and they're playing phenomenal together. It just kind of shows Jokic can kind of unlock whatever potential a player has right now.
That's so elite of him, right? Well, we knew the Jokic choir is us, right? I think we will all preach his he's insane. I think Kevin Durant also, just to go back on that, I think that probably makes sense for the West. I don't think LeBron does. I think that should probably be his teammate, frankly, who is putting up better numbers at a higher volume usage and just shot percentage than LeBron. But this is LeBron. In fairness, there might be some consideration of, oh yeah, by the way, he's 40. That might be this is unprecedented. Anthony Davis, don't you worry, you'll get yours, right? More of that. But he's no spring chicken either. So I don't know. It seems to me it's a little bit of just, I know everybody gets voted in and all that, and this is sort of if I'm a fan of the East and I go and fill out my West bracket, I pick the dudes that I assume will have been crushing it. And I guess you can't say that for a million votes, but it sure feels that way.
I think that makes sense. Are we back to the East versus West format this year?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, that's what I thought. So that'll be interesting. I wish they would let everyone play in their own jerseys. That was always fun.
Oh, I love that. So good.
It was it's like a pickup game,
It's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, so anything else on this one before we get on out of here?
My major snub, my bad. I totally forgot Victor Wembanyama. He should be in that starting lineup over KD. Yeah,
I was gonna throw that in. That I was I disagree with the KD. I think that's one. Honestly, I think KD's very popular in general. Obviously, I think him and Kyrie are two. Even when they're on the Nets, right? They always get slotted in there for the starters. Kind of we talked about. LaMelo gets a little bit of that as well. Yeah, I think Wemby over KD just because, I'd have to look at the blocks Wemby's averaging, and
4.
It's his second year, and with the defensive stuff, he's also averaging like 25, like 12-4. He's already like playing, you know what I mean? He's already putting up the numbers like a bona fide star. And I think, right, part of the All-Star game is watching, like that is the argument, right, for like someone like LaMelo. It's like if the All-Star game, right, that's why sometimes like if Kyrie, a couple years ago, like Kyrie got a slot, and it's like, all right, if Kyrie's actually playing and he puts up numbers, I can see the argument. Oh, he is one of the most incredible, funnest players to watch, right? I mean, Wemby is definitely that right now. You know, he is like the new age version of like a KD, you know, but like also way more of a two-way player.
Way more.
You know, which is no insult to KD. Wemby already won Defensive Player of the Year's rookie year, which is insane. So yeah, I think, and to go back on the LeBron thing, I think the argument there is, I personally think I would have voted for AD. I didn't vote this year, but I would have voted for AD just in the sense of, I feel like for AD, he's doing a really good job of playing games, being consistent. It's just nice to see. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous. It's like, you know, it's AD. Like, it's like a guy starts showing up to work all the time. You're like, you know, he deserves Employee of the Month. Give it to him.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, yeah, I do. I would have gone with AD, but I think the argument is, all right, but on this team, who is always the best player? LeBron has to be the best player, like just in case AD slips up, right? And, you know, once LeBron retires, is AD doing this on his own? Like, a lot of people would probably be doubtful, right? So it's like, this might be the last time we get to vote LeBron like this. Every time he's this good, we should vote him in. And that's the same thing with Steph. The only thing is, I think Steph, it's a little bit of a stronger case with the numbers he's putting up. And he's younger. He's much younger.
Yes.
But yeah, those are my only takes on the West.
I can't believe
the only other case you could make on the East, I just realized, well, you can't make it because of, I believe, injury. But if Paolo or Franz didn't get injured, there is an extreme one where if people like really like to kind of hate on Tatum, you could be like maybe one of these guys, you know, putting up crazy numbers and on a competitive team with less talent. I think that's an argument someone would make if neither of them have gotten injured.
I agree.
I don't really think it's necessarily fair, right? Tatum's more proven, is more of a defensive player, but I do think it is an argument someone could make.
For sure.
All right. Well, with that, Jack, where can they find you online? Anything you want to plug? Floor is yours.
I think best place to find me online is on Twitter or X, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. So follow me there. We'll be tweeting through the Super Bowl, tweeting through everything at this point. So I'll be there.
Tweeting through it.
Tweeting through it. Tweet through the
pain. How I feel. Ryan, same thing. Anything you want to plug, or where can people find you?
I got nothing.
Nothing? All right.
You can't find me anywhere. I'm not.
I'd say I appreciate that. I wish I'd never been, sucked into Twitter when I was young and naive.
Yeah, I'm glad I never did.
18 years later, still on this hell site that gets worse by the day.
It does.
You can follow me on it if you're also on it at the fake BMAR, BMARR. I'm going to start writing for dolphinstalk.com. I have my first blog up there today. Go check it out. That's the one titled What the Dolphins Can Learn from the Conference Championship Games. Would really appreciate it if you checked that out. Other than that, main channel, Wicked Good Everything. This channel, Wicked Good Sports, and our podcasting channel is Better Radio. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us, Brad.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. As usual, pleasure.
Of course. And we'll see you all in the next one. All right. So closing out the show today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl. So I feel like growing up, the Pro Bowl was a huge event, not only for the people who made the Pro Bowl, but for fans. You know, I remember thinking it was very fun and if not super competitive, at least like an interesting thing that people wanted to be a part of. Over the years, people have gotten less interested in it and players have gotten less interested in participating in it. And then a lot of times with the longer season, these players who make the Pro Bowl are playing deep into the playoffs, playing deep into January, and they're losing in heartbreaking fashion. So they just opt out of the Pro Bowl altogether. We covered that kind of positively with Travis Kelce going to Super Bowl, so he couldn't play, and then Johnny Smith being able to play. But I think that was more of a snub originally, and then that's kind of correcting it now with Johnny Smith going there. Here's one where I don't really think this was a snub, and I just think it was a very questionable replacement. So Josh Allen is out of the Pro Bowl officially with a wrist injury, but I mean, probably just more of like, I don't want to go to the Pro Bowl. I just want to sit at home after our season ended tragically to the Chiefs once again. So replacing him in the Pro Bowl is Patriots rookie quarterback Drake May. So here's the stat lines for Drake May. 2,276 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. That's not great. Shout out to Drake May, much like Mac Jones. He made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Will he hit a gritty? Unclear. Probably not, I would have to guess. But yeah, Drake May, he is way down the list on passing yards, touchdowns, all that. And I really feel like this is just a great example of how the Pro Bowl means almost nothing if you're a Pro Bowl alternate. We joke around a lot about Tyler Huntley being a Pro Bowl quarterback because, everyone else was either injured or opted out for that Pro Bowl that he made. And, congratulations to him for making it, but it is definitely a tongue-in-cheek observation, when I'm doing the Miami Minute and I'm like, Tyler Huntley might have to start because Tua is injured again. But that's fine. He's a Pro Bowler, a Pro Bowl quarterback, Tyler Huntley. But it doesn't mean anything to me. And I think we're further erasing any meaning that the Pro Bowl has. Clearly the players don't care. I don't think we should maybe care that much as fans. But if you disagree, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think that the Pro Bowl means anything, or do you think it's been completely and utterly wasted as a, accolade like I do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode of the Wicked Good Sports podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. Check out our main channel, Wicked Good Everything, and our podcasting channel for all the podcasts under the Wicked Good Everything umbrella that aren't sports on Better Radio. And again, you can check out my writing on dolphinstalk.com. We'll see you in the next one.